dance and never ends. Tune in, lean and feel the groove. Every moment, a vibe you can't lose. It's for the culture, by the culture. Braylon got the soul to show you. Breaking it down, lifting it higher. Feel the rhythm, spark the fire.
And that's exactly what we are about to do. We are about to spark that fire. Hello to you, and you. Welcome into another edition of Braylon's Virtual Tour live on a Tuesday evening, 2 minutes after 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock down south. I got the news, as we all did, that Angelo is no longer here with us. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Of course, as you may or may not know, Diane Keaton also passed away as well. So we have a lot to get to with Angelo. The Davenports, which has been a huge book in the culture for a long time, is finally coming to television. We'll talk about that. Pete Hesh, he's got the whole media gang saying no to his rules when it comes to covering the Pentagon. We'll get to that. Alex Jones is trying to avoid responsibility, but the Supreme Court said, hold up, shorty, hold up, ish. Hold up, shorty, hold up, ish. Hold up, shorty, hold up, ish. Hey, grown woman, don't try me. Good to see you, gorgeous. Good to see you. Always lovely to see her here. Serena Williams, you know, she has a venture capital firm, you know, the greatest tennis player of all time. She is talking about how she invests in businesses. We'll talk about that. Got some politics news to catch up on, and you did see it on the thumbnail, rather, that the travel industry could lose $1 billion a week. $1 billion a week the travel industry is losing because of the government shutdown that we're still a part of. And then, of course, my home state, Arkansas. The Arkansas State Fair kicked off on October 10th. And child, just all you got to do is ride, eat turkey legs, look at thick women, look at the men that you think are attractive, and, you know, have your own ride at the state fair. Well, actually, don't do that because there's children there. But you get what I mean. Like, just have a good time. But, child, before that, we got some housewives news to get to as well. Higher is Wayne, low is available. But either way, we are live on tour. Shout out to the 6 people that were here. Appreciate y'all. 3 people here now. You see that virtual tour background. Yes, you do. You hear that virtual tour music. Yes, you do. And then there is me. Hey, I hope all is well with each and every single one of you. Let's get to the getting and doing what we do. So, if y'all don't know, Katie Frost talked about that Ashley ate Katie's cat. And Ashley responded, said, I don't deal with anybody that demented. Ashley, did you forget that you made out with Jacqueline or kissed Jacqueline last season? And you did say you're bi. So I'm just saying. Okay. All right. Speaking of things happening with Potomac, let's get to this here. This just broke, y'all. This literally just broke. Right here. RHOP star Wendy Orfezzo resigns from teaching position after fraud charges. So yeah, Wesley University, she is no longer there. As of 1:23 p.m. Pacific time, which, let me get the time for you guys because that is West Coast time. As of 4:23 p.m. Tuesday, today, she has resigned from her position at the university. More bad news for the Real Housewives of Potomac star, Dr. Wendy Orfezzo. She and her husband, Eddie, were put on fraud charges on Friday, and today TMZ has learned she also lost her job. Dr. Wendy had been a distinguished visiting professor of sociology at Western University, but the school released a statement to TMZ Tuesday. Ryan simply, Wendy Orfezzo is no longer an employee of Wesleyan University. In addition to Wesleyan, Connecticut, Wendy also taught at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland before resigning in 2024. She has degrees from Temple University and Johns Hopkins and a PhD in Public Affairs and Community Development from Rutgers. As you know, documents obtained by TMZ reveal the RHOP star is facing 16 charges, including 7 felonies for allegedly committing fraud in excess of $300 and 1 misdemeanor count of making a false statement to an officer. We told you last week that the charges stem from an incident last year. The couple claimed that they found their bedroom ransacked after returning from a trip to Jamaica. According to the prosecution's bail recommendation, Wendy and Eddie reportedly told police several designer bags and jewelry had been stolen. But get this, Carroll County Sheriff's deputies allege Wendy was later seen in a social media post wearing a diamond ring that she reported stolen, which I believe it's this one here from this picture, I believe. The news comes on the heels of RHOP castmate Karen Huger's release from jail last month after serving 6 months of a 1-year sentence for back-to-back DUIs. The 10th season of RHOP premiered on October 5th, and we learned from Kim Byer that they start filming Saturday, October 11th. Yeah. Speaking of Potomac, here is some news. Now, this is a news source here. No Chaser _TV. Shout out to reviews and recaps. I was over there supporting my girl. According to TMZ, Stacey Roosh's divorce is legit. According to legal documents obtained by TMZ, Stacey and Fimo divorced last year. And it says that there was a final decree entered on the docket on December 16th, although it remains under seal. The documents show Fimo filed for the divorce in early December 2024, saying the couple married in Germany in September 2007 had been separated since August 2023. He said they apparently hammered out a quick settlement as there was no hope of possibility of reconciliation between parties. So I'm sure that Giselle, and the ladies are not going to go against TMZ's word, right? But then again, this is Giselle. I mean, she has a podcast called Reasonably Shady, where Robin and Giselle never reasonable. And anything they say, they're always shady. It's because they're really shady people. It's because they have shady mindsets. Speaking of, Ashley, I wish Whitney Houston was here. And I know CeCe Winans is here. CeCe Winans should check you and your mother. Y'all, this is Ashley Darby performing Count on Me by Whitney Houston and CeCe Winans with her mother Sheila. Here we go. Just trigger warning.
Helping you to carry on. Call on me, I will be there. Don't be afraid. Please believe me when I say, count on. You can count on me.
Yes! Now, Giselle, why did you clap for that shit? You know, Giselle, a real friend would have said, listen, I'm a big believer in everyone going after their dreams, but some dreams aren't meant to come true. That's what you should do, Giselle. You should be a real friend and just let her know this ain't her calling, okay? And I have an expert that wants to come in right now and give his take on what we just saw. So let me pull him up. He's calling in right now, live, and he has some words. So let's hear him out right now. Here we go.
Come out the closet and stop keeping a secret and let the world know, if it had not been for the Lord that was on my side, I would have been swallowed up? Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming and you were at your wit's end? That is my point of view. Because my point of view in the Easter story is relational.
You know, I have to agree. There was nobody relating to Ashley there, you know, and I think that, you know, that song by CeCe Winans and Whitney Houston, you know, I feel like I'm a decent singer, but then again, I'm not going to go on American Idol and embarrass myself, right? For example, Anita Baker, you know, flashback to the times we had. Some make it last and some make it sad. From beginning to end, 365 days of the year, I want the same old loving. Hey, 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 all I want to do is share my life with you. I want the same old loving. You see how there's a pulse there, Ashley? I ain't a singer, okay? I'm a host, okay? But I think if I sung that in front of Anita Baker, right? Well, let's just say I was at an Anita Baker concert and she was like, does anybody want to come up and try to sing one of my songs? If I went up, I don't think I would have done as bad as you. So just you know, and last thing, and then we're going to move on, child, because there's only one response that I can really truly think. Now that was a bishop that gave his take, but this is what you need to do, Ashley, with all this singing shit. This is exactly what you need to do. Okay, right here.
Is your baby crying? I'll make them stop. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go sleep, little baby. Go to sleep, go to sleep. Goo got time for you. La da da la da suru, yeah. La da la 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 boo da 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 pa sa do 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 pa.
I'm gonna let it play.
Is your baby crying?
I need
I'll make
Ashley
them
to
stop.
the fact that she needs to go to sleep with this career.
Go to sleep,
Please.
go sleep, little baby. Go to sleep, go to sleep.
I got time for you, Ashley.
La da da la da suru, yeah. La da la 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 boo da 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 pa sa do 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 do.
Just one more time, everybody. Just one more time.
Is your baby crying? I'll make them stop. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go sleep, little baby. Go to sleep, go to sleep. Goo got time for you. La da da la da suru, yeah.
And,
La 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 boo da 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 pa sa do 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 pa.
Now, the first time I saw this meme, okay, listen, I thought he was absolutely great. The artist here, let me see if I can find the artist in the comments, because let me see, because I want to give this brother credit, because this dude right here. Now, I don't think him and Ashley should ever really Gaga time. Because I'm trying to find the artist here. So I think his name is Lanky Box. I believe his name is Lanky Box. me see. Hang on, because I want to give credit to the artist real quick. Hang on, give me a moment. Because, like, child, I just, you know, whenever you are going after a dream, right? You have to be able to at least, you know, you gotta have a pulse of, you know, your spirit agrees with it, and the spirit agrees with your gift. You know what I mean? So just keeping that book. Hang on. O-R-I. There we go. Original. Why can't I not find the original? Okay, so here's the guy here. So I want to bring him up real quick, and then we're gonna move on to somebody who actually, you know, can sing here. So this guy right here, let me just bring him up. His name is Andy Arthur Smith. Okay, this guy right here. Okay, this guy right here can sing. Ashley, go the fuck to sleep with this singing shit. And bravo, y'all be ashamed of yourselves. Really, y'all allow that shit to be on national television? Oh my God. That would be like Ashley Darby going on NBC's The Voice and her winning The Voice. Okay, can we all just agree that there's just some things that some people just should have limits to? Neither should be on a stage attempting to sing. Let's roll the fuck on. By the way, y'all, very, very sad day today. Speaking of singing, D'Angelo, neo-soul pioneer and untitled How Does It Feel singer, dies at 51 years old. So sad. Right here, D'Angelo, a legendary R&B singer who helped pioneer the genre of music known as neo-soul, died after a bout with cancer. He was 51. The singer's family confirmed his death in a statement to Variety. The shining star of our family has dimmed his light for us in this life. After a prolonged and courageous bout with cancer, we are heartbroken to announce that Michael D'Angelo Archer, known to his fans around the world as D'Angelo, has been called home, departing this life today, October 14th, 2025. We are saddened that he can only leave dear memories with his family, but we are eternally grateful for the legacy of extraordinary moving music he leaves behind. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time, but invite you all to join us in mourning his passing while also celebrating the gift of song he has left for the world. Associates close to D'Angelo remember him on social media. DJ Premier, who produced his song Devil's Pie, posted such a sad loss to the passing D'Angelo. We've had so many great times. Going to miss you much. Sleep peacefully, D. Love you, King. Elusive figure who burned bright in the spotlight, D'Angelo released 3 albums throughout his career, including his 1995 debut, Brown Sugar, 2000's Voodoo, and his last album, 2014's Black Messiah, with his group, The Vanguard. He developed a signature sound with Brown Sugar, marrying classic R&B tropes with hip-hop influences before developing a richer, soulful aesthetic for Voodoo. He won 4 Grammy Awards for his later 2 records, and he was a crucial figure in ushering the era of neo-soul. Michael Archer, the second D'Angelo's son, that he shared with the late singer Angie Stone, who died in a car accident earlier this year, said in a statement, "I'm grateful for your thoughts and prayers during these very difficult times, as it has been a rough and sad year for me. I ask that you please continue to keep me in your thoughts, as it will not be easy. But one thing that both my parents taught me was to be strong, and I intend just to do that." Born Michael Eugene Archer in South Richmond, Virginia, D'Angelo embraced music at a young age, learning to play the piano at just the age of 3 years old, everybody, and playing in the church alongside his father, who was a Pentecostal minister. Throughout his adolescence, he performed locally in groups including Three of a Kind, Michael Archer, and Precise and Intelligent, Deadly But Unique IBU. In 1993, he signed to EMI and wrote the hit You Will Know for the group Black Men United, BMU. D'Angelo released his debut album Brown Sugar in July 1995, which spent 65 weeks on the Billboard 200's albums chart, spawned the hits Lady, Cruisin', and the Tyler track, and launched him as a new major star. The album helped drive the neo-soul movement of the mid-1990s, and stellar albums with a similar sound and spirit, which fused the R&B rhythm and blues of the 60s and 70s with contemporary hip-hop informed styles, all by Maxwell, Erykah Badu, and others. During these years, D'Angelo also performed on Lauryn Hill's multi-platinum cultural shifting 1998 debut album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, singing and playing electric piano on the song Nothing Even Matters, as well as tracks produced by Method Man and Gaza, um, or Jizza, rather. Sorry about that. He also released a live album recorded in 1995 titled Live at the Jazz Cafe that featured his companion and backing vocalist at the time, the late singer Angie Stone, as well as strong covers of Smokey Robinson's Cruising, Earth, Wind, and Fire's Can't Hide Love, and the Ohio Players' Heaven Must Be Like This, It Must Be Like This. I know when we're cruising together, can't hide love, can't hide love. Hey. I riffed on that. But anyway, most significantly, during this era, he found a kindred spirit in Armin Questlove Thompson, drummer and leader of The Roots, who became a close friend, who he would collaborate for much of the rest of his career. The pair even performed with their idol Prince on a few occasions. Also, too, Jill Scott's a part of the neo soul world as well. Of course, Jill Scott Lee. Jill Lee, Miss Lee, if you're nasty. But that's neither here nor there. Let's roll on. The two of them would spend the next several years at work on the follow-up to Brown Sugar Voodoo, which finally released in January of 2000. The album was the end product of many months of recording and mixing, primarily in New York's Electric Lake Studios, with a group of musicians who became known as the Soulquarians, primarily D'Angelo, Questlove, horn player Roy Hargrove, keyboardist James Poser, bassist Pino Padino, and producer Dave Gilla, who pushed the boundaries of R&B and also worked on albums by Badu and rapper Common at the time. According to legend, the musicians were rumored about playing favorite albums like Slide, The Family Stones, There's a Riot Going On, and Princess Parade in their entirety, although recordings have not emerged. Those albums and many others helped inform Voodoo, which is considered a cornerstone of modern R&B with an influence that has resonated over the decade. However, the album's leading single, the soulful, smoldering ballad entitled How Does It Feel, was spearheaded by a video that featured a shirtless, muscular D'Angelo and turned him into a major sex symbol, a role that he did not want and recoiled from. While the Voodoo tour, also featuring most of the Soulquarians, was a major success and cemented his popularity, D'Angelo largely disappeared from view over the next decade, splitting with at least two managers and one recording label. He was also arrested for DUI, grass, and Coca-Cola possession charges, prompting alarmist reactions from fans and tabloid media. A famously obsessive musician, he retreated to his home in Virginia and spent years honing his next album, with occasional reports of progress materializing, usually from Questlove, who at one point said the new album was 99% done, only to see another 2 years pass before its release. During these years, he made occasional guest appearances on songs by Dilla, Snoop, Common, and Q-Tip. D'Angelo began a gradual return in the early 2010s, touring Europe and playing occasional shows with Questlove, which usually turned out to be informal jam sessions, heavy on R&B, classic R&B covers. Yet he performed the electrifying encore at a 2013 Music of Prince tribute at Carnegie Hall, along with Questlove and members of The Roots and The Revolution, leading a rousing version of Baby I'm a Star that had the audience out of their seats. In early 2014, D'Angelo's manager at the time, Kevin Liles, promised that the album will be released that year and told this writer, here's the thing, with D'Angelo, it was a process. He didn't perform for 10 years, over a decade. He was working on an album for the past 12 years, a decade, and some change. I actually got him to go out and do 30 shows in 2011, 2012, and then we did some concerts with Questlove. I said, we have to be motivated around what people want to hear from you, and what does it mean to come back to that space. He very bluntly put it, Kev, the studio and the stage, that's my lifeblood. Now that I've touched it again, now that I see it again, I want to be sure that the baby I'm about to have, the album, that I take it to the point where it's all it can be. Nearly 15 years after his predecessor, the Black Messiah album finally arrived in arrived late in 2014. It continued the vibe of voodoo, but evolved in new directions, particularly rhythmically, where certain songs featured Jay Dilla-inspired groups that defied conventional timekeeping, a process the musicians had begun on voodoo but progressed more deeply. D'Angelo followed the album's release with a major tour, the first say which was from Harlem's legendary Apollo Theater, where he had first performed as a 16-year-old in 1991, winning one of the venue's famous amateur night competitions. This writer wrote of the concert for Billboard in February 2015. From the moment he walked onto the dimly lit stage alone, performing the first two verses of Prayer Solo before being joined by his band, D'Angelo showed that while he's older and some pounds heavier, he has lost none of the charisma and agility that made him a star in the first place. Many songs of the Black Messiah focus set were being performed live for the first time, yet in the hands of the Vanguard, this formidable new Twin Peaks band featuring bassist Pino Padillo and ex-time guitarist Jesse Johnson. They already sounded road-tested. D'Angelo has studied Prince and James Brown diligently. Like his idols, he led the band like a toy he was endlessly delighted with, taking songs for joyrides that stretched for 7 to 10 minutes without losing focus. But after those tour dates, he went back into seclusion, rarely making public appearances or performances. After Prince's death in April 2016, he paid tribute on The Tonight Show, performing Sometimes It Snows in April with Maya Rudolph and Gretchen Lehrburn. However, he abruptly dropped out of a scheduled appearance during a show closing All-Star Prince tribute on the BET Awards a few weeks later. He also contributed a song, Unshaken, to the soundtrack of Red Dead Redemption 2 in 2019. In February 2021, as the pandemic began to lift, he played a solo set at the Apollo as a part of the Versus webcast, where he was joined by Keon Harlan, Method Man, and Redman and Hard. The following June, he performed Unshaken at the Tribeca Film Festival as part of the Songs of Red Dead Redemption 2 event, which appears to be his last public performance. In 2024, he appeared with Jay-Z on Jimmy Samuel's 9-minute song "Want You Forever" from the film The Book of Clarence. Earlier this year, he was announced as a performer at the annual Roots Picnic in Philadelphia, but pulled out before the concert took place in June. He was said to be working on an album with longtime collaborator Untitled writer Raphael Sadiq in the year before his death. However, he is featured heavily in Thompson's recent documentary Sly Stone, Sly Lives, speaking of the challenges presented by stardom as the film's subtitle posts the burden of Black genius, meaning the pressures of being such a gifted artist who is expected to be an example and a leader but may not be comfortable in that role. The guilt that comes with being the one who made it. While the film was about Sly Stone, the impression is that D'Angelo was equally talking about himself. He's definitely talking about himself. Questlove told this writer earlier this year the origin of his personal story is literally being a chosen one, being fifth or sixth or seventh wheel in a situation in which he was not even looking or asking for what he got, yet he was chosen. Yet guilt is probably the number one emotion. In the film, D'Angelo speaks vividly about the pressure of being a gifted Black figure. It doesn't matter what you do in music, sports, he says. We as Black folks, we always got to be 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of everybody else in order to break even. It's just always been that way. Why? The interview asks with apparent expiration. D'Angelo replies, why? Ask why. Information on survivors was incomplete at the time of this article's publication, but D'Angelo has a son born in 1998 from his relationship with singer Angie Stone, who herself died last March, and 2 other children, a son and a daughter. Quite a sad day. So sad. I loved his voice. Brown Sugar was my ish. Yes, indeed. And call my name and down to me impatiently. Wow, I'ma really love with you. I'ma really love with you. Of course, I'm not D'Angelo, ladies and gentlemen. If D'Angelo heard that and said that actually sounded good, I would say, I need you to go to bed, pull the covers over your head, and go the fuck to sleep if you thought my singing was decent. Please. He's a legend. I'm here, he's there. It's so sad D'Angelo and Angie Stone are back together in heaven. That's the first thing I thought of, was Angie Stone is welcoming him into those gates. And I'm sure they are making music and other things in heaven. Yes, indeed. I do believe that, to be sure. But much love to his family, his friends, and of course, the industry. I know that for some of you, you call it Hollyweird. Um, but on the same token, you know, even though it's Hollyweird to y'all, there are some people that y'all actually like at Hollyweird. And it's one thing for us. I've always said this is one thing for us to lose somebody that we have been able to be a part of their journey as a consumer. But it's another thing when you have a colleague that's no longer in your industry. So just give some love, grace, and space to Hollyweird, as y'all call it, in Hollywood for the rest of you. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I know. But to some more news here because we do have a virtual tour to go on. From Deadline.com, The Gilded Age, and just like that, executive producers to write and executive produce The Davenports, a young adult series at Amazon from Alloy Entertainment. So here is The Davenports here. They have wealth and reputation. Now is their chance to find love. So as you can see there, that is the book there. So let's get to it. Exclusive. The Gilded Age showrunner Sonja Warfield, just like that, executive producer Susan Fowler Hill have signed on to write and executive produce the Davenports young adult series adaptation, which is currently in development at Prime Video, Amazon Prime Video. That is. The project is a co-production of Amazon MGM Studios, Warner Brothers Television, and Alloy Entertainment. Alloy's president and chief creative officer Leslie Morgenstein will executive produce through the company's deal at Warner Brothers Television. Inspired by Crystal Marquis' best-selling book of the same name, the Bridgerton-esque romantic series set in 1910 America centers on the Davenports, one of the few black families of immense wealth and status thanks to the entrepreneurship of formerly enslaved patriarch William Davenport. Surrounded by servants, crystal chandeliers, and endless parties, his daughters Olivia and Helen and their friends are finding their way and finding love even when they're not supposed to, according to the blog line. Yes, indeed, there. Warfield is Emmy nominated for her work on HBO's hit series The Gilded Age, which received 6 Emmy nominations, including Best Drama Series. Her additional credits include NBC's Will and Grace and BT's The Game. She is read by anonymous content and Myron, Greenspan, Fox, Rosenberg, Mabasa, Younger, and Light. Fables Hill has been writing and producing classic television series for decades. Her credits include Sex and the City reboot and Just Like That, seminal coming of age series A Different World. So we have people who know what they're doing, ladies and gentlemen. Where she served as showrunner by the age of 28 years old. I want to say that again 2 more times. 28 years old. I'm 31. So to everybody that thinks, oh my God, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 20s. Listen, the difference between champions and legends. Champions will do just enough to get by. Legends will do everything and then some. Okay? I don't mean champions don't matter because they've done what they've done in their process to make it to where they are. But legends, they go beyond the process and they're always willing to adapt. What's the point here? And Lena Waith's Showtime series 20s. She is rep by William Morris Endeavor and Frankfurt Klein and Seas. Alloy's book to screen television projects includes Netflix's You, starring Penn Badgley, Gossip Girl, The Vampire Diaries, Pretty Little Liars, and The 100. Book to film credits include Adam Sandler's You Are So Not Invited by Art Mitzvah and Sophie Carson's Purple Horse, both of which opened at number 1 on Netflix. So I'm very excited for this. No date as of yet when this is coming, but as soon as there is a date and a trailer, you guys will know about. Now, of course, I won't be able to show the trailer because we all know how YouTube is about copyright. They're so loving, kind, and gracious to allow you to play anybody's clip. Said no one ever. Let's roll on, child. We do have more Brantley's Virtual Tour Live coming up right from the space right here, right now. From Variety.com, Pete Hesh has united the media. Only one outlet has agreed to Pentagon's new press rules as Fox News, CNN, and more refuse to comply. Yeah, no. Pete Hesh, Defense Department, has threatened to revoke press credentials of news organizations that do not agree to restrictive new coverage rules, and says it may bar journalists who don't agree to abide by the rules from physical access to the Pentagon's grounds. You do know that CNN has a studio inside the Pentagon, right? Okay, I just thought you should know. Okay. We just had one job on November 4th, everybody. We just had one job. Just one job. Just one motherfucking job. But nope. Nope. I truly feel like on November 4th, everybody else rather, had this mindset.
It's not just feeding the hungry only on Thanksgiving. It's an everyday situation. You know what I mean? This is 265 days a year.
That is funny. 265 days? Where the hell that bitch live at?
We still don't know where that bitch live at, baby. We still don't know to this day. Woody Woodpecker. Rolling on. But more than 3 dozen news organizations have said that they are refusing to sign on to the requirements. On Tuesday, in a joint statement, 5 major TV news outlets, ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News, and NBC News, said they were not agreeing to the new rules. The Pentagon has told reporters they must sign an agreement for the new rules by Tuesday or turn their press passes by Wednesday. According to the Defense Department's press office, which outlined the new rules last month, reporters covering the Pentagon must sign a pledge not to obtain or use unauthorized material, even if the information is unclassified. If they do not, they will potentially be barred from the Pentagon. Today, we joined virtually every other news organization and declined to agree to the Pentagon's new requirements, which will restrict journalists' ability to keep the nation and the world informed of important national security issues. The network said in the statement, the policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. We will continue to cover the U.S. military, as each of our organizations have done for many decades, upholding the principles of a free and independent press. The 5 networks join a number of other news organizations that have already said they won't agree to the new rules being imposed by Hesh, a former Fox News host. Those include the New York Times, the Associated Press, Reuters, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, Politico, News Nation, and The Hill, along with conservative-leaning outlets like Newsmax and the Washington Examiner. Do you know how big it is that Fox News and Newsmax, 2 of the biggest conservative outlets, ain't following what Pete Hesh is saying? That is huge. At press time, only one outlet has said it plans to sign on to the new rules announced by the Pentagon, which the Voice administration which the Voice administration has it's calling the U.S. Department of War. One American News Network, which is a pro-47 network. So they're the only ones who signed off on it. Pete Hesh has united the media. Fox joins the rest of the media in pushing back against his radical press censorship policy. Chuck Todd, former host of NBC's Meet the Press, who now hosts the Chuck Todd cast, wrote in a post on Twitter, congrats or something. To be sure, Fox News has pushed back against 47's penal policies and actions towards the press before. In 2018, Fox News began seeing its efforts to restore Jim Acosta's White House credentials. 47's White House shortly thereafter. Acosta exited CNN earlier this year after 47 took office for a second term. While we don't condone the growing antagonistic tone of both the president and the press at recent media avails, we do support a free press, access, and open exchanges for the American people, Fox News President Jay Wallace said in a statement at the time. Here's the current full list of news outlets that have refused to sign the Pentagon's new rules as complied by the Washington Post. So ABC News, AL Monitor, the Associated Press, The Atlantic, Aviation Week, Axios, Bloomberg News, Breaking Defense, C4SR Net, CBS News, CNN, Defense Daily, Defense News, Defense One, The Economist, Federal Times, The Financial Times, Fox News, The Guardian, The Hill, Huffington Post, Military Times, MSNBC, NBC News, New York Times, Newsmax, News Nation, NPR, National Public Radio, PBS NewsHour, Politico, Real Clear Politics, Reuters, Tax and Purpose, Wall Street Journal, Washington Examiner, Washington Post, New York Times, and WTOP. So that is, let's count them all: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. You got 38 outlets to say fuck you up the asshole, give you no lube, and let you suffer. And the fact he used to be a former Fox News host is crazy. Okay, John. Okay. Like I said, at the beginning, middle, end of the day, that same guy, Pete Hesh, this guy right here, he released war plans in a Sentinel group chat, and the editor of The Atlantic got the war plans. But yet you're going to tell the people, the news outlets, and everybody within those organizations how they should run themselves. Tulsi Gabbard, the National Director of Intelligence, I use that very loosely because she has none. She said you didn't break any laws, where even the people in the heroes like, no, he actually did break law. So, speaking of people who broke the law, Alex Jones, everybody. Supreme Court rejects Alex Jones' appeal of $1.4 billion verdicts in Sandy Hook defamation cases. I truly don't get this country. You mean to tell me that you went on to your platform and lied about children in a pallet, and you don't think that you don't deserve to be held accountable? Okay, child, let's get into it. This comes to us from Variety.com. The U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday turned down an appeal from right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones seeking to overturn the more than $1.4 billion judgments ordered against him over his false statements about the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School mass plowing. The court, as is typical, did not explain its reasoning for denying Jones' appeal. To date, Jones has not paid any monetary damages to the Sandy Hook families. Jones and his company InfoWars filed for bankruptcy after the families of victims in the Sandy Hook mass plowing in Connecticut won judgments in 2022 totaling nearly $1.5 billion against Jones in defamation lawsuits. Jones had repeatedly promoted baseless conspiracy theories about the Sandy Hook massacre. Lawyers for Jones in their appeal filed with the Supreme Court in September had read, if this court allows its decision to stand, it will send to other courts that the First Amendment guarantees for freedom of speech, even vitriolic and hateful speech, can be relaxed if popular sentiment reaches a generalized consensus of the speech offends delicate sensibilities. The result is a financial death penalty by fiat imposed on a media defendant who broadcast reaches millions. Jones filed with the Supreme Court stated, in December 2012, 20 students and 6 adults died in the plowing at the school in Newtown, Connecticut. Families of Sandy Hook victims sued Jones for defamation and ultimately won the $1.4 billion plus judgment after Jones called the mass murderer a hoax. And falsely accused the parents of the children ill at the elementary school colluded with the U.S. government and a supposed plot to restrict gun rights. Rights. During the defamation trial in Texas, Jones testified that he now believes that the Sandy Hook plowing was 100% real. Jones, who is banned from most major internet platforms over hate speech and harassment violations, was reinstated on Twitter by Elon Musk in 2023. I vehemently disagree with what Jones said about Sandy Hook, but are we a platform that believes in free speech or not? Or we not? Musk wrote in December 2023, explained the decision. Now, God forbid if Elon Musk's children got unalived to that shooting. Not wishing that at all. Y'all know I am a rider for kids. Y'all know I'm a rider for good men and good women, good people organizations, and this, that, and third doing good. But sincerely, to allow somebody back on for hate speech. And Elon Musk is the same dude that said DEI needs to die. This is the same guy who said go fuck yourself to advertisers. Let's roll on, child. This past August, a federal judge ordered that InfoWars parent free speech systems be turned over to a court-appointed receiver to oversee the sale of the company's assets. As reported by CNN, in a bankruptcy auction last year, satire website The Onion had submitted the winning bid to acquire the assets of InfoWars. However, a judge, by the way, The Onion is a satire news website, by the way, everybody. However, a judge in December 2024 blocked The Onion's deal, saying the auction process lacked clarity and that the families of the Sandy Hook Power victims deserve more money than The Onion's $1.75 billion bill, despite the family signing off on the sale. So there is that there. I think Alex Jones deserved what he got. You don't make false things out here and expect for you not to get reprimanded. And like I said, those were children. Those parents don't have their kids anymore. Imagine you waking up every day and passing by your kid's bedroom that your kid should be in. And Alex Jones has kids, by the way. I just want to mention that. Like, the wife said how crazy, deranged, and psychotic he is. It's just sad. And by the way, Megyn Kelly, you platformed him on NBC News. You know, when you went from Fox News to NBC News to do sunshine, lollipops, and rainbow coverage. And you did Megyn Kelly today where you said, I thought blackface was okay as long as it was in a costume or something. And then you called Jamel Hill ugly, where your husband might be allegedly gay, according to Don Lemon. I know your role. Stay in your place and drive the speed limit that you're supposed to. Okay? All right. Moving on. Serena Williams, everybody. The one and only Serena Williams. This is courtesy of Adweek. Serena Williams shares her venture capital philosophy and why she backs startups, solving the 98%. The tennis star turned business mogul on her people-first approach to investing. 23-time singles Grand Slam champion Serena Williams. Stephen A. Smith, 23-time singles Grand Slam champion. 23-time singles Grand Slam champion. I say that because Serena's husband was on First Take and Stephen A. Smith got swallowed up. Stephen A., I would suggest you sit down your seat, look at the camera with the red light on, and stick to sports if you know what's good for your ass. But we know you're not going to do that because you want to be in the house as a Negro so bad that you will forget everybody else who is on the ground every day. Because, bruh, there was a point in time where you were out here with us. But your ass got fired from ESPN, but yet you want to try to critique what a black woman should be doing, and her husband comes on your show and you choke up. That just goes to show everything you say is shit. You don't mean shit and you ain't about shit. Moving on. Like I said, 23 times singles Grand Slam champion Serena Williams is looking for tech founders with a compelling story to tell. The tennis icon became interested in technology long before retiring from the sport in 2022. In 2017, while still on the professional tournament circuit, Williams teamed up with Allison Davenport, still meant to found Serena's Ventures, a venture capital firm investing in early stage tech companies. The firm raised $111 million for its inaugural fund and has since built out the team to include 6 other members. Serena's Ventures has backed companies like gaming upstart Brunch, education-focused social platform Fiveable, Black and Latinx-focused digital healthcare company Hued, and a smattering of fintech and Web3 companies. At the Zeta Live 2025 conference, Williams spoke candidly about her approach to investing, a focus on personal connection. Those Serena Ventures seek out early signs of growth and market fit. These aren't the first factors it considers. One thing that we really look for is a true story. When we talk to founders and they say, oh, we got this great white space, we love that, but usually we found that founders don't do as well unless they have some sort of personal experience tying them to their mission, Williams said. Obviously, there has to be a marketplace for it and a market fit, but personal connection is one of the main things that we look we look at in founders. One founder in the Serena Ventures portfolio, whose company she referred to as a major unicorn, told her that his mother had to sell her jewelry to fund his ambitions. He struggled financially to get started, and now Williams said he was tackling the idea not because it was a white space, but because he was personally compelled by solving a specific problem. Dedication to the 98%. Beyond a personal narrative that indicates a founder's potential, Williams looks for startups that aim to address widespread needs. A lot of venture capital focus on 2% to 3% to 4% of the population. We really focus on that 98%, she said. She pointed out to fintech startup Esu as an example. The company reports rent payments to major credit bureaus, helping tenants build credit, a benefit rarely available since rent has historically not counted toward credit scores. You know how many people are affected by that. You know how you can't build credit. Williams said your car bill works for credit, but your rent doesn't. So that problem is facing a huge percent of the population. So we try to look at companies that most venture capitalist people would pass up because they want to focus on a smaller number rather. These are trillion-dollar industries that we're looking at that affect most of the population. Backing women and people of color. Since its launch in 2017, Serena Ventures has prioritized women founders and those from underrepresented backgrounds, as well as startups developing innovative solutions that seek to improve equity for women and people of color. As of last year, more than half of the companies in Serena's Ventures portfolio are women-founded. The portfolio also includes almost 50% Black founders and over 10% Latino founders. As a Black woman venture capitalist, Williams is uniquely positioned to bolster businesses run by people from underrepresented groups. She said, because you have to start at the top. If you don't change that, it doesn't flow down at all. It's really about who writes the check. She continued. Once you change who's writing the checks, then you get different founders. When it's the same people writing the checks, they get the same investors, and it's a vicious cycle, right? We have several women on our team. We find more underrepresented founders. We find more women founders. That's why our portfolio has so much diversity, because we see things differently. So come through, Serena Williams, absolutely. If we don't diversify ourselves and we don't make new ways to access what can be, we won't have it. So to Serena Williams and Serena Ventures, on that for sure. All right, y'all. So politics news, everybody. Let's get to that right now, right from the space right here, right now. By Travel Weekly, by North Star, U.S. Travel Association, government shutdown has cost the travel sector $1 billion. Yeah. The U.S. Travel Association government shutdown has cost the travel sector $1 billion. U.S. Travel Association government shutdown has cost the travel sector $1 billion. Okay. Let's keep going. The U.S. government shutdown has cost the travel economy more than $1 billion so far, according to the U.S. Travel Association, with CEO George Freeman saying the shutdown is doing real irreversible damage. Travelers are facing longer TSA lines and flight delays. Freeman said airports are reducing flights, and we've seen entire control towers go dark. The longer this drags on, the worse the cascade of damage will be for local communities, for small businesses, and for the country. Congress needs to act now and reopen the government. U.S. travel is tracking the shutdowns, economic fallout through a real cost time ticker on its website, which crossed the $1 billion mark on October 8th. So let's see where that ticker is now. 1,923,860, as you see, 867,000. You see, it's just going up, right? It's getting close to over 1,923,885,448 million dollars. Yeah, $1,923,900,022. Travel spending has been lost for that amount since the government shut down. It's go back to it. The number is based on the impact of previous shutdowns and the combined effect of closed attractions such as national parks and museums, declines in government-related travel, and decreased air and rail passenger activity. Travel keeps America moving, Friedman said. When travel is delayed and services are disrupted, the ripple effect reaches every corner of our country. So yeah, the travel sector has lost $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion. $1 billion. Okay. So here is some intel here from CBS News. How could a government shutdown affect travel around the U.S.? Although a short government shutdown would unlikely to have much impact on air travel, a prolonged impasse could lead to disruptions for passengers, financial losses for businesses, according to travel experts and industry groups. The Federal Aviation Administration and Transportation Security Administration define most of their employees as essential, requiring them to work even if the government closes and workers at other federal agencies are furloughed. That means airport screeners, air traffic controllers, federal air marshals, safety inspectors, and other workers of the two agencies are expected to continue to show up on the job without pay, even as lawmakers failed this week to strike a deal on federal funding. But things could get messy if a shutdown dragged on. Government employees suddenly deprived of a paycheck come under financial pressure. Caleb Harmon Marshall, a former TSA officer, told CBS News. TSA officers are expected to continue to report for work, but in the past, if a shutdown exceeds 2 weeks, officers start to get frantic and they stop going to work. He said, adding that agency personnel may call in sick and even seek other job opportunities if a shutdown persists. Any ensuing labor shortages can lead to snarled lines at airport security. For example, roughly 10% of TSA workers called in sick during the 34-day government shutdown that started in December 2018 and extended into 2019, driving up screening times at major airports across the country. So if officers decide not to come to work, there is less personnel manning checkpoints, and wait times can potentially get longer, Harmon Marshall said. A shutdown began at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday, October 1st, after the Senate on Tuesday voted down two competing Democrat and Republican proposals to keep the government funded. Lawmakers passed a spending bill. TSA be entitled to back pay for any time worked during a shutdown, as they fucking deserve. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Y'all want to be more right than doing the right thing by people? Are you mad? In the words of Kempire, are you okay? Like, where's your mind at? $1 billion hits. The U.S. Travel Association, a trade group, warned that a government shutdown could cost the economy $1 billion a week. $1 billion a week. $1 billion a week. While also inconveniencing passengers and hurting travel industry businesses. The shutdown exacerbates staffing shortages among Transportation Security Administration officers, air traffic controllers, threatening longer airport security lines, flight delays, and cancellations, the group said in a September 25th letter. It halts hiring and training of new air traffic controllers when we are already short more than 2,800 controllers nationwide. Restarting the process adds further delays even after funding is restored. The U.S. is already experiencing a shortage of air traffic controllers and has launched an effort to hire more than 2,000 additional controllers by the end of the fiscal year. Neither the White House nor the Transportation Department responded to requests for comment about the impact of a potential government shutdown on travel in the United States. By contrast, train travel is unlikely to be disrupted if the government closes this week, according to Rail Passengers Association, which represents the nation's rail travelers. Although Amtrak receives some federal funding and could eventually be impacted if a shutdown dragged on, but the rail service is financially healthy enough to pay workers in the near term and keeps trains in operation, the group said in a statement last week. Passport services are also deemed essential and will be expected to operate during a government shutdown. So, what do I think about this? This is not surprising to me at all. Like I said to y'all before, there are people not being able to get Section 8 housing and Head Start and SSI, SSDI, and so many other resources. SNAP and TAF, food stamps. I know that sometimes in life we get so concerned with reality TV and who's doing this, that, and the third. But guess what? Those reality stars, they got elderly people in their life. They got nieces and nephews. They have other people that those people need the government benefits. So, and not to mention too, the travel industry. Like, do y'all not know the cargo airline industry? Like Prime Air and how many packages Amazon puts on their cargo planes to like send to different countries around the world to deliver Amazon products. Like, this is really real, and people need to understand that as much energy as we can give to Potomac, we need to also give it to things that need to matter, right? But that's not all. That's not all. Oh, no. Look at this right here from Fortune magazine, fortune.com. America, of course. As you can see here, America is going broke slowly, says J.P. Morgan, as national debt balloons and tariff revenue get shaky. Right here, J.P. Morgan's Dave Kelly warned this week while America is going broke, it is doing so slowly enough that markets aren't panicking yet, with the U.S. national debt now topping $37.8 trillion in interest payments exceeding $1.2 trillion. Kelly said the debt to GDP ratio, already at 99.9%, will likely keep rising even under moderate growth, despite tariff revenues and temporary deficit relief. He cautioned that political choices or a slowdown could quickly worsen before the fiscal picture, urging investors to diversify away from U.S. assets before going broke slowly turns fast. America is going broke. J.P. Morgan Asset Management's chief global strategist David Kelly wrote in a note, but no one's panicking yet because the government is going broke slowly. And of course, there's the rest of that there. Let me see. I figured as much like that would kind of happen here. So as you can see here, let me just now, y'all, I want y'all to see this real quick. Look at this. I'm gonna just reverse it. Here we go. So you can see here, 47 says U.S. can pay off $36 trillion debt by selling $5 million gold card visas.
We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful.
Do you need Congress for this? Do you think you need to
No, we
pass
don't
a
need
law?
Congress, no, because we're not doing citizenship, we're doing the card.
I see.
It's a path to citizenship, a very strong path to citizenship, but we're not doing the citizenship. For that, I'd have to get Congress.
And would all countries be eligible for this gold card?
Depends. The countries largely, the people will be vetted very carefully.
Okay, y'all. Here it is from J.P. Morgan Asset Management. Going broke slowly. The investment implications are still rising. Federal debt. Let's get into this. Dave Kelly, chief global strategist at J.P. Morgan Asset Management. One of the most challenging positions in football is that of the place kicker for the visiting team. In theory, the job is simple: boot the ball through the middle of the upper rights. However, there's a raucous crowd cheerfully doing its best to distract you. There's often swirling winds or other elements of nature ready to divert the football from its target the moment it leaves your foot. And there is a menacing group of large men just a few feet in front of you who are anxious to block the ball, or as a very acceptable alternative, plant you in the mud. Your job is to ignore the distractions, distortions, and threats and focus on the matter at hand. Long-term investors in 2025 face a similar set of distractions, distortions, and threats. There's a constant barrage of news on the Washington shutdown, the deployment of the National Guard, stepped up immigration enforcement, global conflicts, and ongoing trade wars. Partisan cable shows amplified by a malicious and curated social media scroll, are heightening the confusion even as the shutdown of government agencies is depriving the public of a normal, more balanced more balanced stream of economic data or data. Meanwhile, spurred on by artificial intelligence enthusiasm or AI enthusiasm, valuations for large cap U.S. equities are approaching the extreme seen in the dot-com bubble of 25 years ago. Amidst all of this, the job for investors is to focus on the trends that actually determine long-term returns. We will be discussing many of these in our 2016 long-term capital market assumptions due out next week. However, in the meantime, as we embark on new federal government fiscal year, it's worth taking a look at one of the most important long-term themes. Is worth taking a look at one important long-term thing, namely what is going on with federal debt and how the steady deterioration of U.S. government finances could impact asset class returns. The near-term outlook. Last Wednesday, the Congressional Budget Office (CBO) released its estimates of the federal finances for the just ended fiscal 2025 FY 2025. At first glance, the deficit at $1,809 billion, or 6% of GDP, looks like a slight improvement of FY fiscal year 2024, $1,817 billion, or 6.3% of GDP. This is particularly the case because the fiscal year 2024 figure would have been $1,889 billion had it not been for a calendar quirk at the start of the year. However, the fiscal year 2025 numbers benefited from a somewhat artificial $234 billion reduction in outlays due to changes in the capitalized value of federal student loan programs. Without this reduction, the deficit would have been $2,043 billion, or 6.7% of GDP. We expect this fiscal year to produce an even higher deficit, while according to CBO estimates, the OBBBA was expected to add $126 billion to the fiscal year 2025 deficit, excluding the student loan reduction rate, was calculated to boost the fiscal year 2026 deficit by $277 billion. If anything, this may now be an underestimate, as virtually all the new personal income tax breaks that became effective retroactively on January 1st of this year are now expected to boost funds in fiscal year 2026 rather than lower withholding in fiscal year 2025. Elsewhere, we assume tariff revenues average $36 billion per month between now and next September. They have averaged $29 billion over the past 3 months and pencil in roughly 4.5% nominal GDP growth over the next year. Net interest outlays, which amounted to roughly $980 billion in last fiscal year, could grow to $1,046 billion in the current year as a rising stock of debts offsets a stabilization in the relatively slow-moving average interest paid on that stock. Under the scenario, the deficit climbs to $1,809 billion, or 6% of GDP last fiscal year, to $2,132 billion, or 6.7% of GDP this year. It is worth pausing here to consider this number. The total federal debt in the hands of the public is now almost at $30.3 trillion. I'm going to say that 2 more times. The total federal debt in the hands of the public is now almost at $30.3 trillion. The total federal debt in the hands of the public is now almost at $30.3 trillion, or we estimate 99.9% of GDP. Starting from these levels, if nominal GDP grows by roughly 4.5% going forward, comprised of 2%, 2.0% real growth, and 2.5% inflation, then any budget deficit north of 4.5% will cause the debt to GDP ratio to rise. Under our assumption, the debt to GDP ratio climbs from 99.9% on September 30th, 2025, which is already passed to 102.2% of GDP 12 months later. There are good reasons to believe, however, that the debt will rise even faster than this. First, this baseline scenario assumes the government continues to collect very significant tariff revenue each month. This assumption could be negated if the Supreme Court rules in the next few months that the tariffs that the president imposed by invoking the Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 are in fact illegal. This would at minimum force the administration to go back to the drawing board to impose replacement tariffs under some other authority or by sending a bill through Congress. Moreover, it could force substantial refunds of tariffs already paid in recent months. Second, while we expect a surge of income tax fund refunds to temporarily boost demand early next year, this boost will quickly fade away once the funds have been spent. This might entice Congress to provide further stimulus in the form of tariff refund checks or some other device to give the economy more balance heading into the midterm elections. There was a thing from Andrew Yang called Universal Basic Income. Andrew Yang, 2028, I'll be looking for you. Now, of course, you know, Wes Moore, President, Jasmine Crockett, Vice President, Brian Lee, Press Secretary. By the time I get in the White House, she will be named Jasmine Crockett Lee, Jasmine Lee, Miss Lee, if you're nasty. But that's neither here nor there. Back to this. This is a really important destination that we've been talking about here. Finally, this all assumes no recession and no need for other major spending on domestic or international priorities. Because of all this, a deficit equal to 6.7% of GDP should probably be regarded as a lowball estimate of this year's red ink. The long-term outlook and investment implications. In theory, the deficit should remain fairly stable fiscal year 2027, fiscal year 2028, and then pull back some for fiscal year 2029 as temporary tax cuts in OBBBA expire December 31st, 2028. However, no experienced observer of Washington politics would assume that these breaks will expire on schedule, and so a reasonable baseline forecast would be for deficit to range between 6% and 7% of GDP into the next decade, boosting the debt to GDP ratio by roughly 2 percentage points each year. However, even this may be too optimistic as it assumes uninterrupted economic growth. More important, that despite populism from both the right and the left, Congress finds discipline to avoid both further tax cuts or expanded government programs. A more likely scenario is that either due to emergency or recession, the deficit ratchets up 7% or more of GDP, leading to acceleration in federal debt accumulation. Some have argued that easier monetary policy could slow this debt expansion, and it is true that net interest payments accounted for more than half of the total deficit in the last fiscal year. However, overly easy monetary policy could lead to both a lower dollar and higher inflation, boosting long-term interest rates and eventually forcing much more painful monetary tightening. The question I am asked most frequently by investors and financial advisors is, when is the federal debt going to blow up in all our faces? My usual answer is that while we are going broke slowly. Global bond markets are well aware of the trajectory of the U.S. debt. In fact, that even today, the U.S. government can borrow money for up to 30 years at a yield of just 4.6%, speaks to a conviction that there remains room for the government to borrow more. That being said, there's a danger that political choices lead to faster deterioration in the federal finances, leading to a backup in long-term interest rates and a lower dollar. Based on current allocations and valuations alone, many investors should likely consider diversifying their portfolios by adding alternative assets and international stocks. The risk that we move from going broke slowly to going broke quickly adds important reason to make this move today. So, I thought that when this president got elected, we were going to be doing so much winning. To have an analyst tell us that America is going broke slowly is terrifying. So just thought you should know that there are other things going on in the world, because there are. So, Speaking of that, in case you do not know, and this is some huge news here, 47 said he will unveil list on Friday of Democrat programs to be shut. Okay. U.S. President 47 said on Tuesday that that his administration planned to produce a This is on Friday at Democrat programs that will be closed as a result of the ongoing federal government shutdown. He did not specify programs that indicated that the closures would be permanent. So just thought you should know that. And here he is here. Pause that. Go back so y'all can actually hear this from him. Okay. Here we go.
So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're going to have a list of them on Friday. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting killed, but they're not telling the people about that. I say it, nobody, well, I haven't said it probably as bluntly as I just said it, but so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with, and they're never going to open again.
We had one job November 4th. One job. One motherfucking job. Everybody else wanted to vote for this dumb fuck. Okay, just stop. You should know. A couple of other things, then we're going to roll on here. This happened. I want to thank the media. Yeah. 47 showers the press with praise for its respect for peace deal. Child. President 47 took a moment to thank the media for its respectful reporting on the peace deal he brokered between Israel and Hamas while preparing to sign documents related to on Monday. I want to thank the media for you've been very respectful on this deal. You know the importance of the deal, said 47, with various world leaders gathered around him in Egypt. And it was so pleasant to watch. I was on the plane for quite a while listening to the various newscasts, and they were all fair. They were all talking about how incredible this is. It's an incredible day for the world, let alone the Middle East. So I just want to thank media. They really treated it with respect, he said. I just wish that you could be like that on other things, but that's perhaps a little too asked for, the president said wistfully. Still, he ended on a positive note, but on this tremendous, everybody feels the same, just tremendous respect. We appreciate it very much. Earlier on Fox News, 47 singled out reporter Trey East for his reporting over the past 2 years. I watched your coverage. I really appreciate you. You are a real professional. It's not because it's good or bad. You're just really professional. 47 told Yingst, while still in Israel, it would be great if other people could do what you do because, they just put nuggets spin in their news stories. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not attend the summit in Egypt. The British Broadcasting Corporation reported that his presence could have been awkward for some confirmed guests. And a statement whose office said 47 invited the Israel Prime Minister to attend, but declined due to the time and proximity to the beginning of the Jewish holidays. So let's watch this clip. I can't believe this actually happened, but we're actually going to see it live in real time. So he actually had respect for people today. That's a shocker.
I chose hymns because I reached a point where I needed help beyond just diet and exercise.
I'm happier with my body and appearance than I've been for a long time.
The app has been a really helpful companion. It keeps me on track.
The impact has been amazing. I'm definitely excited to see where this journey takes me. Lose weight and gain confidence through hymns. Start today at hymns.com.
Here we go, everybody.
I want to thank the media for you've been so respectful on this deal. You know the importance of the deal, and I really, it was so pleasant to watch. I was on the plane for quite a while listening to the various newscasts, and they were all fair. They were talking about how incredible this is. This is an incredible day for the world, let alone the Middle East. So I just wanted to thank the media. They really treated it with respect. I wish you could be like that on other things, but that's perhaps too much to ask for. But on this, tremendous, everybody feels the same. Just tremendous respect, and we appreciate it very much. Can we get the documents, please?
And I have to tell you directly, personally, that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may say.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job, based on what I know.
Well, that's just
Your
a
record and
flippant
what
statement,
you
Mr.
did.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You may.
I didn't ask.
Senator, please let the secretary.
I'd be happy to, but then I can respond to his.
Your time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
Well-
Your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary, please.
Well, I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation.
I raised
don't regret
Sudan,
psychosocial support services.
I
for
raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr.
Senator,
Chairman?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes.
I chose to use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use my
suspend
time that way.
Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear. And the day you're going
Sir, wait. Now, Marco Rubio, you got your own closet, bro. Really? Really? Bro, oh my God. Y'all deported an actual American, sir. Who was not a gang member. But okay.
Chairman,
you went to
Senator,
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary
No.
Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated
Senator,
comments like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You
Secretary
had your time.
Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court of
Senator-
the United States because
Well,
he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy.
That was just a bonus. By the way, y'all, look at this. I love Mustache Man. Yeah, this comes to us from Politico. I love Mustache Man. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape. Everyone that votes no is going into the gas chamber. When do we bring that side out? You're giving nationals too much credit and expecting the Jew to be honest. Are you going to do whatever it takes? Great. I love Mustache Man. If we ever had a leak of this chat, we'll be cooked for real, for real. It got leaked. Kick the bitch. When do we start bullying dude? Boom, they're dead. They love the watermelon people. It was grape. He also hates Jews. This girl is fully graped. Stay in the closet. Agate. Put M from Macca, and then you can figure out what I'm saying there. Yo, everyone that gets endorsed but then votes for us is going to the chamber. I go to the zoo if I wanted to watch monkey play ball. I'm ready to watch people burn now. We're also officially under consideration for a 47 endorsement. Yeah. From New York, leaders of young Republican groups throughout the country worried what would happen if their Telegram chat ever got leaked. But they kept typing anyway. They referred to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. It's about raping their enemies and driving them to ooh-eyed and lauded Republicans who believe they support slavery. William Hendricks, the Kansas Young Republicans vice chair, used the words ninja and variations of a racial slur more than a dozen times in chat. Bobby Walker, the vice chair of the New York State Young Republicans at the time, referred to great ass epic. Peter Ginta, who at the time was the chair of the same organization, wrote in a message in June that everyone who votes no is going in the gas to the gas chamber. Ginta was referring to an upcoming vote on whether he should become chair of the Young Republicans Republican National Federation, the GOP's 15,000 member political organization for Republicans between 18 and 40 years old. I'm going to create some of the greatest psychological torture methods known to man. We only want true believers, he said. Two members of the chat responded. Everyone that votes no is going into the gas chamber. Everyone that endorsement then votes for us is going into the gas chamber. When do we start voting? Do we have a solid 3 people who can probably have them want to jump? If they vote for us, why will they be gassed? When do we bring that side out? I'm going to create some of the greatest psychological torture methods known to man. They spell psychological wrong. We only want true believers. Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the mustache aesthetic. Mustache man's aesthetic. Now, I'm ready to watch people burn now. We got to pretend that we like them. Hey, come on in, take a nice shower and relax. Boom, they're dead. So Peter Ginta, Bobby Walker, and Caddy K, Joe Meningo, Rachel Hope, and Alex Dwyer said this in a Telegram group chat. Can we fix the showers? Gas chambers don't fit the mustache man aesthetic. Joe Manganiello, who previously identified himself as the general counsel for the New York State Young Republicans, wrote back, I'm ready to watch people burn now. And Annie Caddy, New York's National Committee member, said the exchange is a part of a trove of Telegram chats obtained by Politico and spanning more than 7 months of messages among young Republican leaders in New York, Kansas, Arizona, and Vermont. The chat offers an unfiltered look at how a new generation of GOP activists talk when they think no one is listening. Since Politico began making inquiries, one member of the group chat is no longer employed at their job, and another's job offer was rescinded. Prominent New York Republicans, including Representative Elise Stefanik and State Senate Minority Leader Rob Orr, have denounced the chat, and festering resentments among young Republicans have now turned into public recriminations, including allegations of character assassination and extortion. A liberating atmosphere, the 2,900 pages of chats. Let me say that number again. 2,900 pages of chats. 2,900 pages of chats. Okay, that's where we are right now. I saw this and was like, nope, I got to bring it to you. I have to bring this to you. I know that sometimes in life, we don't like talking about stuff like this, but wherever we don't confront, we allow. And you guys definitely need to know about this for sure. The 2,900 pages of chats shared among a dozen millennial and Gen Z Republicans between early January and mid-August chronicle their campaign to seize control of the National Young Republican Organization on a hardline pro-47 platform. Many of the chat members already work inside government, or party politics, and one serves as a state senator. Together, the messages reveal a culture where racist, anti-Semitic, and violent rhetoric circulate freely, and where the 47 era loosening of political norms has made such talk feel less taboo among those positioning themselves as the party's next leaders. The more the political atmosphere is open and liberating, like it has been with the emergence of 47 and a more right-wing GOP even before him, it opens up young people and older people to tell racist jokes and making racist commentaries in private and public. Joe Fegan, a Texas A&M psychology professor who has studied racism for the last 60 years, he's also concerned the words will be applied to public policy. It's chilling, of course, because they will act on these views. The dynamic of easy racism, casual cruelty played out in often dark, vivid fashion inside the chats, where campaign talk and party gossip blurred into streams of slurs and violent fantasies. So Peter Gunta, who actually is a part of this, let me go back here. I just want to make sure here. So Peter Gunta was a part of this group chat. So that is Peter Gunta. And he looks like he is a Latino. Shocking. Well, that's not all Latinos and Latinas. Let me just say that as well. The group chat members spoke freely about the pressure to counter 47 to avoid being called a Rhino, the love of Yahtzees, not the game itself, but you figure out what I'm saying there, within their party's right wing, and the president's alleged work to suppress documents related to wealthy financier Jeffrey Epstein's SCS crimes. There. 47 is too busy burning the Epstein files. Alex Dwyer, the chair of the Kansas Young Republicans, wrote in one instance. Dwyer and Caddy K declined to comment. Angelo and Hendricks did not return a request for comment, but some involved in the chat did respond publicly. Ginter claimed the release of the chat is part of a highly coordinated year-long character assassination led by Gavin Wax and the New York City Young Republican Club, an allusion to a once obscure inner scene war that has now spilled onto the open. You know, you can say it was a part of a long character assassination, but you said what you said in those chats. Those logs were sourced by way of extortion provided to Politico by the very same people conspiring against me. He said, what's most disheartening is that despite my unwavering support of President 47 since 2016, rogue members of his administration, including Gavin Wax, have participated in this conspiracy to ruin me simply because I challenged them privately. Wax, a staffer in 47 State Department, formerly led the New York Young Republican Club, and a separate city-based group that is at odds with the state organization, the New York State Young Republicans. He declined to comment despite allusions to infighting and to still apologize. I am so sorry to those offended by the insensitive and excusable language found within the more than 28,000 text messages. Just zoom in on that. 28,000 messages. 28,000 messages of a private group chat that I created during my campaign to lead the Young Republicans. He said, while I take complete responsibility, I have no way of verifying their accuracy. I'm deeply concerned that the message logs and questions may have been deceptively doctored. If they were doctored, then why does somebody no longer have their job, and why has the job offer been rescinded? At least one person in the Telegram chat works in the 47 administration, Michael Bartles, who, according to his LinkedIn account, serves as a senior advisor in the Office of General Counsel within the U.S. Small Business Administration. Bartles did not have much to say in the chat, but he did offer any pushback against the offensive rhetoric in it. Either he declined to comment. Nora's affidavit signed by Bartles and obtained by Politico also sheds light on the intra-party rivalry that led to the Restore War Room Telegram chat to be made public. Bartles refers to Wax's role. He wrote that he did not give Politico the chat, and that Wax demanded in a phone call that he provide a full chat log. When I attempted to resist that demand after providing some of the requested information, Wax threatened my professional standing and raised the possibility of potential legal action related to alleged breach of a non-disclosure agreement. Bartles claimed in the affidavit my position within the New York Young Republican Club was directly threatened. Walker, who now leads the New York State Young Republicans, touched on a similar theme, saying he believes portions of the chat may have been altered, taken out of context, or otherwise manipulated, and that the private exchanges were obtained and released in a way that clearly intended to inflict harm. He also apologized. There is no excuse for the language and tone in the messages attributed to me. The language was wrong and hurtful. I sincerely apologize. Walker said, this has been a painful lesson about judgment and trust. I am committed to move forward with greater care, respect, and accountability in everything I say and do. 251 times mixed into formal conversations about whipping votes, social media strategy, and logistics. Members of the chat slung around an array of slurs, which is republishing to show how they spoke. Epithets like maggot, retarded, ninja appeared more than 251 times combined. More than 251 times combined. From one instance, Walker, who at the time was Stafford Ord, talked about how a mutual friend of someone in the chat dated this very obese Indian woman for a period of time. Ginter responded that the woman was not Indian. She didn't bathe often. Samuel Douglas, a state senator from northern Vermont and the head of the state's Young Republicans, replied to Ginter. In a separate conversation, Ginter shared that his flight to Charleston, South Carolina, landed safely. Then he offered some advice for his fellow Young Republicans. If your pilot is a she and she looks 10 shades darker than someone consistently just ended there, scream the no word, Ginter wrote. This did not respond to requests for comment. In a statement where they called for members of the chat to resign, I was shocked and disgusted to learn about the racist, anti-Semitic, and misogynistic comments attributed to members of the New York State Young Republicans. Or it said this behavior is indefensible, has no place in our car anywhere in public life. Walker had been in line to manage Republican Pete Ornbacher's campaign for Congress in upstate New York. But a spokesperson for the campaign said Walker won't be brought on in light of the comments in the chat, seeking 47's endorsement. The private rhetoric isn't happening in a vacuum. It comes amid a widespread coarsening of the broader political discourse as incendiary and racially offensive tropes from the right became increasingly common in public debate. Last month, 47 posted an artificial intelligence generated video that showed House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero beside Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, fabricated remarks about trading free health care for immigrant votes, a false, long-running GOP trope. The sombrero meme has widely been used by Democrats as the government shutdown wears on. In his 2024 campaign, 47 spread false reports of Haitian immigrants eating pets. In case you did not know about this, let me just bring this up here.
A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that.
In case you did not know. And at one of his rallies, welcome comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who called Puerto Rico flowing island of garbage and joked about black people carving watermelons on Halloween. Puerto Rico sent garbage to Tony Hinchcliffe's house. Well done. And there should have been shots of watermelon just upon his house. Should have been throwing watermelons at his face. Yeah. Liz Houston, a White House spokesperson, rejected the idea that 47's rhetoric had anything to do with the chat members' language. Okay, Liz. Sure, Liz. Whatever, Liz. Only an activist left-wing reporter rather would desperately try to tie President 47 to a story about a random group chat he has no affiliation with, while failing to mention the dangerous smears coming from Democrat politicians who are fantasized about murdering their opponent and call Republicans Yazidis and fascists. Not the game, but you get what I mean. She said no one has been more subjected to vicious rhetoric and violence than President 47 and his supporters. While he may not have anything to do with the chat, he has said black people are criminals, and he shut down the entire United States until we figure out what the hell is going on with Muslims. And many other things. So, yeah. In the Restore War Room chat, Gunter tells his fellow Republicans that he spoke with the White House about endorsement for 47 for his bid to become chairman of the National Federation 47 and the Republican National Committee, only he decided to stay neutral in the race. A White House official said that it has no affiliation with Restore. Why are that hundreds of groups asked the White House for its endorsement? Gunter was the most prominent voice in the chat, spreading racist messages, often encouraged or liked by other members. When Luke Morseman, the chair of the Arizona Young Republicans, asked if the New Yorkers in the chat were watching an NBA playoff game, Gunter responded, "I'll go to the zoo if I want to watch monkey play ball." Gunter elsewhere refers to black people as the watermelon people. Hendricks made a similar remark in July. Bro is at a chicken restaurant or his food would he like some watermelon and Kool-Aid with that? I'm just reading text messages that young Republicans said in a group chat on Telegram. Hendricks was a communications assistant for Kansas Republican Attorney General Chris Barsak until Thursday. He also said in the chat, despite political differences, he's drawn to Missouri's Young Republican organization because Missouri doesn't like hookers, agates, something of that energy there. Really? Sir, it looks like you have a little sugar in your tanks. Just saying that. Politico reached out to Danny Herbert, a spokesperson for the Attorney General, who also serves as the Kansas GOP chair, and shared with her experts of the chat involving Hendricks. In response, Herbert said, "We are aware the issues raised in your article. Hendricks is no longer employed in Kobach's office. Yeah, had some back and forth with the VC in Michigan, current chairs at deer headlights. We have a call on Wednesday. Many agree. Did he say my delegates, I will vote the most right-wing person? Great. I love Mustache Man. In another exchange, there were the Kansas City chair informs into one of Michigan's young Republicans promised him the group will vote for the most right-wing person to lead the organization. Great, I love Mustache Man gets respond to where reacted with a smiley face. Few minority groups spared. Ginta, who serves as chief of staff to New York State Assembly member Mike Riley, ultimately fell 6 points short of winning the chairship to lead the Young Republican National Federation earlier this year, despite earning endorsements from Stefanik and longtime 47 advisor Roger Stone. Riley did not respond to requests for comment. Earlier this year, Stefanik accepted an award from the New York State Young Republicans. She lauded again for his tremendous leadership in August and had her campaign and the political PAC she leads donate to that state organization. Alex DeGrasse, senior advisor for Stefanik, said the congresswoman was absolutely appalled to learn about the alleged comments made by leaders of the New York State Republicans and other statewide R's in a large national group chat. According to the description provided by Politico, the comments were heinous, anti-Semitic, racist, and unacceptable. He continued, no, Stefanik has never employed anyone in the chat. If the description by Politico is accurate, Congresswoman Stefanik calls for any New York Young Republicans responsible for the horrific comments in this chat to step down immediately. Stone also condemned the comments in a statement. I, of course, have never seen this alleged chat room thread. He said, if it is authentic, I will, of course, denounce any such comments in the strongest possible terms. This would surprise me as it is inconsistent with Peter that I know, although I only know him in his capacity as the head of the New York State Republicans, where I thought he did a good job. Still had to pucker up your lips rather than lick ass, suck ass, and swallow ass down your throat, hung Roger style, but you're a convicted criminal. Moving on. Few minority groups are spared from the Young Republicans group chat. Their rhetoric normalized at most points dark humor. There are some popular conservative political commentators, podcasters, and comedians amid national erosion of what is considered acceptable discourse. Ginta's line on a darker skinned pilot, for example, echoes one used by slang conservative activist Charlie Kirk last year when he said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Kirk was discussing diversity hiring invites unwholesome thinking. Walker also used the moniker I, Patrick McCain, originally coined by conservative commentator Tucker Carlson, in apparent reference to GOP Representative Dan Crenshaw. Crenshaw lost his eye while serving as a Navy SEAL in Afghanistan. Walker also makes a perform my war heroes not captured, a repeat of a similar 2015 line from 47. Art Gibson, a professor at the University of Dayton who specializes in white racial extremism, summarized the Young Republicans in the chat were influenced by 47's language, which he said is often hyperbolic and emotionally charged. 47's persistent use of hostile, often inflammatory language, and normalizes aggressive discourse in conservative circles can be incredibly influential on operators who are still trying to figure out what is that political discourse, Gibson said. White amicist symbols. Gibson reviewed multiple excerpts of the Young Republicans chat provided by Politico. One was a late July message where Mahousen, chair of the Arizona Young Republicans, mused about how the group could win support for their preferred candidate by linking an opponent to white amicist groups, but then Mahousen realized the plan could backfire. Kansas Young Republicans could end up coming a to that opponent. Can we get them to start releasing Yahtzee edits with her, like pro Yahtzee, not the game, but you get what I mean, and fascism propaganda? He asked the group. OMG, I love this plan. Rachel Hope, the Arizona Young Republicans chair, responded. The only problem is we'll lose the Kansas delegation, Munson said. Hope and the two Kansas Young Republicans in the chat reacted with a laughing face to the message. Hope did not respond to requests for comment. Munson declined to comment. Gibson said the Young Republicans conversations reminded him of online discussions between members of neo-Yahtzee and white amicist groups. You say it once or twice, it's a joke, but if you say it 251 times, it's no longer a joke. Gibson said the more repeats our ideas, the more real they become to us. Weeks later, someone in the chat saying a hotel asked its members to guess what room we're in. 1488, Dwyer says white emissists use the number 14 because 14 is the number of words in the white emissist slogan. We must secure the existence of our own people and a future for white children. The H is the eighth letter in the alphabet, and 88 is often used as shorthand for Hail Mustache Man. Another conversation in February Ginta talks approvingly about the Orange County Teenage Republican Organization in New York, which appears to be a part of the network of teenage Republicans, and how he was pleased with its young members' ideological bent. They support slavery and all that shit. MAGA based, he said the term based in internet culture is used to express approval with an idea, one that's often bold or controversial. In a statement, Orange County GOP Chair Courtney Canfield Green said the party was disappointed to learn that its teen group was mentioned in the chat. Our teen volunteers have no association with NYSYRs or YRNF. She said this behavior has no home for the Republican Party in Orange County. Ed Cox, the chair the New York State GOP, also condemned the remarks made in chat. I was shocked and disgusted to learn about the reports of comments made by a small group of young Republicans. He said, just as we call out vile, racist, and anti-Semitic rhetoric on the far right, we must not tolerate within our own ranks vicious word for enemies. Members of the Telegram chat speak about their personal lives, extensive discussions about their everyday lives, including one exchange about how devotedly Catholic some chat members are and how much they attend church. Many of the slurs, epithets, and violent language in the chat often appeared to be intended as jokes. Most of the was decried by members of the chat as Beaner and Speck. Stay in the closet, maggot. Walker of New York also addressed it in July, though he is the group's main target for the same epithet. The group also used slurs against Asians. My people built the train tracks with Chinese, Walker says, at one point referring to his Italian ancestors. Let his people go. Maningo says, keep the shanks down. In another instance, Mohican tells the group chat the Spanish came to America and had sex with every single woman. Sex is gay, Dwyer says. Sex, it was great. Mossman replies, epic. Walker says, Joe, did you look it up yet? Just did. Probably shouldn't have it on my work computer. The Spanish came to America and had sex with every single woman. Sex is gay. Sex, it was great, epic. There is more explicit bias in some phrases too, especially when they turn their ire on opponents outside the chat, such as the leader of the rival grown Why Are Young Republicans slate Hayden Packett, who defended Gitto, was re-elected chairman of the Young Republican National Federation this summer. So you mean Hayden Maggot wrote the resolution himself, came to ask the group about the National Young Republicans chair in late May. Rape Hayden. Most of cleared the file of all deaf. Packet is the maggot bunker as we speak. Is in the maggot bunker as we speak. Walker said July. Packet responds to the chat language in a statement. Young Republican National Federation condemns all forms of racism, anti-Semitism, and hate. Packet said, I want to be clear that such behavior is entirely inconsistent with their values, has no place within our organization or the broader conservative movement. Ginta also had expletive-laden criticism for the Young Republicans and state that was born leaning toward Packett's faction. Minnesota maggots. He mentioned continuing Arkansas. Inbred cow fuckers. That's what he said about my home state. I wonder how Sarah Trashaby Sanders feels about that. But then again, I remember her daughter said, one day, mommy, you could be praised. So she probably doesn't really give a fuck that this person, Ginta, called Arkansas inbred cow fuckers. Nebraska will vote in our favor, block their bind, and have a majority of their delegates, Maryland, stinky fat Jew, rolling, traitorous yunts, who I will eradicate from the face of this planet. Ginta also said he planned to make one of the competing Republicans unalive himself on the convention floor. Another instance, Douglas, the Vermont State Senator, describes two group members of how one of Packett's Jewish colleagues may have made a procedural error related to the number of Maryland delegates permitted at the national convention. I was just about to say, if you're giving nationals too much credit, expecting the Jew beyond Douglas. Sam's wife of Vermont Young Republicans National Committee member replied to her husband's message. Breonna Douglas did not respond to repeated requests for comment. If we ever had a leak of this chat, our point of this article, Politico, was examining a separate allegation that into Young Republicans mismanaged New York organization's finances and had paid at least one fee for a swanky holiday party hosted last year. Politico's report detailed how the organization was missing required financial disclosure forms and how sequential efforts file the forms revealed the organization was in more than $28,000 in debt. As of Tuesday, the updated records show the organization is in more than $38,000 of debt. Donations to the New York State Young Republicans political account must be reported to the State Board of Elections. Expenditures must be reported to. At the time, Ginter told Politico the allegations were nothing more than a sad, pathetic attempt at a political hit job. But in their Restore War Room chat, he and Walker speak flippantly about mishandling the club's finances. NYSYR account be like $500 Baltic Cream, $1,000 Ozempic. Walker said in one message, NYSYR will be declaring bankruptcy after this. I just know it. He said, I drained $10K tonight to pay for my next vacation to Italy. Ginter appeared to joke about the organization's bank account. I spent it on massage, he says, and check out the deposit into the account. Great, I can't wait to get sued by our venue. Walker replies, members of the chat occasionally appear to be aware of its toxicity, even made remarks that considered the possibility someone outside their tight-knit group could view it. Walker seemed to consider that possibility the most. In one instance, he joked about bombing the Young Republican National Federation's convention in Nashville, and then remarked, just kidding, for our side FBI tracker. And another, he considered the totality of the thousands of messages he and his peers had read and what would happen if the public saw them come to light. If we ever had a leak of this chat, we would be cooked for real. So, that's what's going on in the world. In case you didn't know, that the next generation is carrying on hate, bigotry, sexism, this, that, and the third. But yet we're so concerned about Stormy Steele and Melody Cherie. I need our brains to be focused where they need to be. Okay? All right, moving on. And, of course, a bunch of other stuff that y'all focus on that should not even matter. Finally, my home state, damn it. These 30 people facing charges after fights at the Arkansas State Fair. This comes to us from KRK4, KRK.com. Little Rock, Arkansas State Police said at least 30 people are facing charges after fights broke out at the Arkansas State Fair Monday. Officials with the State Fair said 2 or 3 fights broke out and were immediately taken care of by the Little Rock Police Department state troopers. Arkansas State Police officials said some people involved were arrested and others ejected from the fair but not charged. State Fair officials said there were no pals on anyone who was arrested or moved from the fairgrounds. The fair closed for about 30 minutes on Monday as a precaution. Well, thank God for that. Just a damn shame. At the beginning, middle, end of the day, the Arkansas State Fair is a fun time for anyone and everyone. It's a family reunion. It is such a joyous place to be, and just to have that happen, at least 3 people facing charges after fights. Where are we in our country? You know what I mean? So, with that being said, everybody, that's our show. I had to read all of that for y'all because of that Young Republicans report, because I just couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. With that being said, y'all, here it is. The more noise a man or a motor makes, the less power there is available. W.R. McCreary. Very well said. It's time for the day motivator for Tuesday, 13th, 2025. Looking forward. Start the day looking forward. Decide on what would make your world the best it can be and put your effort in that direction. There's much you can learn from and treasure by looking back, yet the future is where you're indisputably heading. So give it your focus and care with a clear idea of what you're looking forward to. You'll be motivated to put your time and energy into it, whether you're positive and enthusiastic about the future and that future benefits, and so do you. Today you have the opportunity to continue what's been best about the past. You also have the opportunity to make changes for the better in areas that have not been so great. Looking forward, you can be free of any habits and assumptions that have been holding you back. Going forward, you can put more and more of your valuable experience to positive use. Make this the time to look forward to envision life filled with goodness, purpose, and fulfillment. Then put action, commitment into your vision and go forward into a world that you continue to make better. Ralph Morrison. You know, I think of that quote, whatever we don't confront, we allow, right? And to evolve that, our lives begin to end. We become silent on the things that matter. While I am horrified by what I read tonight of the young Republicans Telegram chat, I'm glad that happened, because it goes to show how much work we have to do, but also goes to show that we need to support the people that are standing up for what is good. The second thing I would say about looking forward is, looking forward, you can be free of any habits and assumptions that have been holding you back. Sometimes we hold ourselves back by who we associate with and what we consume. Whatever you consume, you can become. So if you don't want to be negative, don't consume yourself around negative people and negative content. You want to be positive, consume yourself around positive people and positive things, right? And finally, right here, put action into your vision. The only way you will ever make a commitment to something is if that action corresponds to your commitment. Have structure for your dream, but every decision needs to be a spontaneous, relatable decision leading to your dream. So, with that being said, everybody, it's time for the best outro on YouTube. Know what you do and do what you know. Never say one point special, because you are always one blessing. Trust you may not be where you want to be. By the end of it, you'll be where you need to be. Do what you've been chosen to do. Wise one thing, call yourself is another thing. Be chosen. One love, much love, all love. I has been time with you. You has been time with me. And hopefully by spending time together, Ross will be great together. And always remember, you're doing radio, television, YouTube, be your best life. Or you're just letting people know, hey, listen, if we don't be about something, we're not going to have anything to care about. Make sure the replay is not just worth you watching, not just worth you listen to it, but if you want to experience it again, I love you, I value, I embrace you all. Always remember, see love you gotta give, see love you gotta give, see love you gotta give it. Or obstacles you've overcome, where success you have achieved upon this particular day. I'm extremely proud of you, but no one's as proud of you. Be proud of you, damn. So finally, y'all, listen. At the beginning, middle, end of the day, Congressman John Lewis and everybody in the Civil Rights Movement did not die for us to be in this hell. So either get up and give a fuck, or when hell comes to your door, don't be asking for us. Like I said, one love, much love, all love. I feel the love. I send it right back to you. Good night, everybody. This is your last tour for the evening. Good night. Otherwise, I'll see you guys here at 8:30. We got some stuff to talk about. Paramount and Warner Bros. Discovery tonight. Peace. Peace, everybody. Bye.
I thought I should tell you, they've been talking about you. Yeah, they've been talking about you. They've been talking about the fact that they've done everything they could to stop you and everything they could to block you, but you still win. They've been talking about the fact that they have undermined your success and they have tried to sabotage your seasons, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that even though they don't like each other, they get together to try to kill you, but you keep winning. They've been talking about the fact that you were voted least likely to succeed, but like cream, you keep rising to the top. They've been talking about how they tried to burn your world down, but like the phoenix, you rose from the ashes. They've been talking about you. And you know what they say? Oh, she's just lucky. He's just lucky. But no, you ain't lucky. You're anointed. You got something on you. You got favor on you. You got power on you. You were born to win. Now they can call it luck, but it's grace. They can call it luck, but it's favor. But whatever they call it, it doesn't matter, because you know what God calls you? Do you know what God calls you? A winner. I thought I should tell you they've been...
Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content. Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content. Because here's the thing, a good streamer can find other content.
Child Brandon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time. Child, Brandon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time. Child, Brandon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time. Child, Brandon been over there doing his thing, minding his GD business, staying out of trouble, trying to get the folks some positive stuff to talk about. Besides lying all the damn time.